Okay, it's been forever and a day, so it's time to get back to it. So let's run through some updates and where we're at with this gravel bike project, because it just doesn't end, can't stop, won't stop. So here she is. She's been in the stand, getting some updates, and I'm going to talk you through what we've done to it, what I've done to it, and why, and we'll go from there. Last time we talked, I had moved to a double chainring setup with a 2946 double. People were like, is that going to work? And the answer is, yeah, of course it works. If you use a mountain bike triple front derailleur, and that'll handle that gap no problem. And I was running an 1132 cog stack on the back, 8-speed. We have upgraded to a 9-speed 1132. That was I will admit, a failed opportunity there. I could have gone to an 1134 and gotten a bit more range out of it. Two teeth. Range wasn't really the problem where it was right now. And I can always do that in the future, so haven't really lost out there. So that's a 1132 9-speed on the back. Now you're saying to yourself, what did you do for your shifters if you went to a 9-speed cassette from your 8-speed cassette? Well, I got new ones because that's how that works. And while I was running 8-speed Dura-Ace STI levers, because I don't like bark-on shifters myself, totally reasonable option. I'm not poo-pooing anyone else's proclivities there, just not my jam. But I do have a jam. My jam, as it turns out, is Campy. I really prefer Campy Ergo shifters over Shimano STI or SRAM Force or whatever. So these, because I'm a baller, are record 9-speed. Now, record 9-speed, my original move here was because on a 9-speed cassette, very difficult to get Campagnolo free hubs on 26-inch wheels because dropout spacing and a whole bunch of other stupid reasons. Anyway, so I've got a Shimano HG cassette carrier on the back of this bike. But I happen to know that the difference in cog spacing between Shimano 9-speed and Campy 9-speed is hundredths of an inch. It is tiny, and I know for a fact they can be made to work together. That is to say, if you use Campy shifters, 9-speed, and a Campy 9-speed compatible rear derailleur, you can make that work with a Shimano 9-speed cassette on a Shimano hub, which was my initial plan for this bike. However, getting a Campy rear derailleur to go to a larger cog than like a 27 or a 28 can be a bit arduous. It's doable. I've seen people that do it. Jada Jesus had a video up on Instagram a while ago with him with a Campy rear derailleur shifting to like a 42 tooth cog. So it can be done, but I didn't have the appropriate Campy rear derailleur in the parts bin. But I already have XTR on this bike, and the XTR that I have, which is like, I guess what, M950, I think, is 9-speed compatible. That's not a problem. And it will handle large cogs. I think it's rated up to a 32 or a 34. It will probably go bigger than that with some B screw adjustment. So what I really need to do is get my Campy shifters to talk to a Shimano rear derailleur and want to give up my XTR, right? So Campy 9-speed record, carbon fiber on the front, all the way back to Shimano XTR rear derailleur, 9-speed cog stack via a JTEC adapter. So what this jam does, I'll give you a peek here inside. If you look there, these remind me of the old problem solvers you used to use with like V-brakes with road levers. There's a pulley inside here. And the pulley that's inside here has an inner pulley and an outer pulley. They move at the same time. They're all part of the same thing. But this is a large diameter pulley and a small diameter pulley, and there's a machined flat spot. So your cable comes in here, goes around this big guy, wraps around, goes around the little guy, goes in through your barrel adjuster into your derailleur. And in this configuration, with going through the larger pulley first and the smaller pulley second, it moves from a Shimano cable, from a Campy cable pull to a Shimano cable pull. If you take this pulley out, flip it around, you can make a Shimano shifter talk to a Campy derailleur. You can do the opposite of this. So this is a JTEC adapter. They're made in England. They are machined with cartridge ball bearings inside here, and they're very nice. And once I figured out that I had that I initially had this in backwards, because the printed instructions it comes with are not precise on this, but if you look it up on their website, they are precise about this. I had this in backwards and I couldn't get the thing to work and I was getting annoyed. Flip the sucker around, worked no problem. Easy peasy. So that got set up. This guy got set up to the new shifter as well. That requires nothing because, if you don't know, Campy front shifters over here on Ergo are fully ratcheted. That is to say, Shimano, like a Dura Ace, front shifter has, for a double, has like 2 or 3 positions you can lock the derailleur into, and that's it. Whereas with Campy, you can actually trim the front derailleur, which means it's like, it's not friction, but it's also not quite indexed, I guess. So it'll work with basically anything, and you can cross-chain your thing and adjust your front derailleur, and it will be happy. You won't get rubbing. So I like them in that way. Anyway, this bike is now 2x9, Campy record, Shimano XTR, and that's pretty sweet. All new cables in the process, because when you swap this stuff, you always got to swap your cables. Cables wear out. You should replace them regularly. They're relatively cheap and they're relatively easy to do. I don't necessarily always replace all of my housing when I do that. In this case, I had to replace some because I needed different lengths and all that. But also, in case you don't know, Campy shift cables are not compatible with, Campy uses different shift cables than Shimano does or SRAM does. So the end of the cable is actually Campy specific. So you gotta make sure you have those. They do use the same brake cables, which is nice of them. Anyway, all new cables, bunch of new housing. I actually managed, first time I've ever tried this, I actually managed to reuse some cotton bar tape that was on the bike. I unwrapped it and then rewrapped it. And besides the fact that the wear doesn't line up, which I don't care about, it totally looks fine. Also, I used some waxed black twine this time to finish them off instead of the, I don't know, twine colored twine I used to use. And that, I think, is looking pretty fetching with this black carbon on there and more gears. And finally, because I am that guy, the shifting on my road bike and my tandem and my gravel bike will all match, which is just convenient. Because every time I had to get on this bike before, I'd always sort of fumble for the first few shifts and not quite know where I was going and what I was doing. Anyway, that's the update on the bike. We went to a Campy setup and I like it a lot. And I've got it working with Shimano, and it wasn't even that hard to do once you order the right part. Anyway, that's my updates, because I can't leave well enough alone. Hit me up with questions and all the rest, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I hope you enjoyed.